Well, you have to turn on the mute button before you start talking. So here I had my whole thing. So let's start again. Looks like there you go. It wasn't my volume, it was me. Senior moment, hanging around too many old geezers. Should be able to hear them now. So guys, I'll start from the top again. Welcome to David Duford's No BS Insurance Sales Training Q&A. You're on yet another show where you get to get all of your questions answered as it comes to selling and marketing insurance. My name is David Duford. Yes, thank you guys. You can hear me now. I hear the LOLs in the chat. I do this show once a month, usually the first Tuesday of the month. And really the whole concept behind it is to answer any and all of your questions as it relates to selling insurance. It can be of any kind of question related to a sales question. It can be any kind of question related to marketing. It doesn't matter. If you need help, my job is to provide some sort of help, some sort of answers to getting you up and running. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, let me jump in and more or less start off with today's training. So I like to start my program off with training just to kind of backlog some questions, so I kind of have one after the other jumping in and asking away. So I got this question from an agent of mine who just started, and essentially what his question was is, how do you manage your day and week as an insurance agent? So I am going to give you what I believe are the two different methods that you can manage your appointment setting and running appointments, seeing the people, and then kind of an overarching fundamental point of what to manage on a day-to-day basis. So let's say you're selling pretty much anything out there. It doesn't matter really what. It can be final expense, Medicare, annuities, what have you. It's all pretty much the same. The first strategy is something that, if you've seen my video interview with John Duggar, it's a good one to watch if you haven't already. The one that he incorporates and follows. And it's one that many producers follow. I know the guys over at Bankers Life do something similar, although they're cold calling. And that's the calling day and appointment running day type of scenario. So here's how it works. On Monday, you start calling at 9 o'clock. And you call through your entire batch of leads as many times as you can within 50 minutes. And then you take a 10-minute break and you repeat again at 10, and then again from 11 to 12, assuming you haven't set up appointments for the following day only. That's the goal here. The strategy is to set up as many appointments as you can and book as many as you're comfortable to book for just the following day only. If you have to call in the afternoon, you will. And especially if you haven't booked your goal number of appointments, you'll call again in the evening. My strategy nowadays, since people don't pick the phone up by default, is to make sure that you're triple dialing your numbers when you're calling and rotating numbers as well. Otherwise, when somebody sees you've called 25 times in a day, which I guess conceivably could happen, they won't pick up. So make sure you have a Google Voice number or two. They're free to get. Just open up a Gmail account and get it. And it's pretty straightforward and simple. And what you're trying to do, like I said, is get as many as you can for the following day. It doesn't matter how many. It's really whatever you're comfortable with. I could run 15 appointments in a day if I really wanted to. Some of you getting started may only be able to comfortably set 5. This is fine. You'll eventually work yourself higher to a level you're comfortable with. But the point of Monday is just to book appointments for Tuesday. Now, you go out on Tuesday and you run all of those appointments. You may also be door knocking your leads in between those appointments you didn't book or when, say, you have a no-show and you got some free time. So make sure that you bring your leads with you, prepare yourself in door knocking them, but don't necessarily have some route pre-planned because you really don't know who's going to no-show or if an appointment runs short or long. So there's a level of uncertainty. Just be prepared to door knock if you've got free time. It's really important to think of yourself on a daily basis of spending all of your time doing productive activity that contributes towards making a sale. That is your only purpose for living. We'll get into this in a minute when you're out in the field, and that's selling something. Not going to the movies, shopping, taking a relaxing break by the stream. It's about seeing the people. Then you repeat the same exact Monday, Tuesday process on Wednesday and Thursday. Call on Wednesday, triple dial through your numbers, call them as many times as you can, 50 minutes, 10 minutes break, until you have booked up as much as you can for Thursday. Now, the reality is for most agents following this method, there's going to be less appointments booked on Thursday as there was for Tuesday. Why? Because generally speaking, the easier appointments, if you're just working a new batch of leads on Monday, are going to set for the following day, and Thursday may not be as much or as effective. So expect to door knock more of your leads. The good news is what you will spend at this point door knocking are probably those people who never pick the phone up. And depending on what type of leads you get and what part of the country you're in, you're probably going to see somewhere in the neighborhood of, 25 to 30% as never going to pick up the phone. Some of you guys probably think, hell, it's higher than that. Probably is, unfortunately. So that's why we got to door knock. So spend time door knocking. Again, be prepared to door knock. Have a strategy set up and ahead of schedule, especially on Thursday. It's a little bit more sensible, I believe, to kind of plan what to expect, because if you end the day calling Wednesday and there's obvious gaps in your schedule, see what time when that gap ends, where the first or whatever appointment ended. Well, make sure you start looking at leads that are in that area that you can go door knock. Plan ahead of time of which leads to work. Map it out on Google Maps or other software that you can kind of route yourself. Again, plan it towards what's closest to you at the conclusion of that meeting where you have time to door knock. I think that's really critical. Again, spending your time seeing people and prospecting those leads that won't pick the phone up. Last but not least, what do you do Friday? Do you just not do anything? Well, possibly. If you've hit your goal, that's fine. You may also want to treat Friday as a cleanup day. Maybe you've got a bunch of amendments from one of our favorite companies that you forgot to dot your I, and they won't issue the policy until you get a signed amendment. And then you'll go get those signed. Maybe you'll deliver policies if you're really motivated and you're that kind of agent. I certainly am not. I have the company send them. Or you just go door knock. That's totally fine too. Okay, again, the idea is at the end of the week, most of those leads are just unreachable. And that concludes your week. Or perhaps you would, if you're, again, really on the ball motivated, like I used to be when I first started, work 6 days a week. So call Friday for Saturday. That's totally fine too. So that is the first strategy that I think incorporates very well for those of you that want to call your leads and set appointments and door knock. The second approach is the traditional approach. It's not using the phone whatsoever and just showing up unannounced with lead card or Facebook spreadsheet in hand and busting your way into the door. For appointments on the spot, plan A, plan B, appointments later that day, or plan C, appointments the following day, or just stop by another day if they can't commit today or to tomorrow. And you start sometime around 9 o'clock, preferentially hitting the people 65 to 70 years old. My experience is that the people who are easier to reach in the morning are those who have reached retirement age in their 70s and older that are just accustomed to getting up early. They worked at the mill, had to report in at 6 in the morning, and they just never got out of that routine. Those people are really the best to reach then. The people you don't want to door knock, and this would go true for any door knocking, are those who are under 65. First of all, a lot of them still work, so they're probably not home. Second of all, if they don't work and they're disabled, I can tell you my experience has been they sleep in. I can't tell you how many doors I've knocked on where I've had a grandma and a moo-moo answer, and she barely had the sleep rubbed out of her eyes. Not an ideal situation. So save those people for lunchtime or later, because that's usually when they're fresh and ready to roll. At the end of the day, I don't like to think too hard about door knocking. Just knock and see what's up. At the end of the day is a good strategy too. It's effective. May not be efficient, but it's effective. But this little layer of extra quote-unquote efficiency is a good thing to consider. And do that for as long as it takes to work all of your leads. Make it your goal to work to the end of your lead pile by the end of the week, same as the prior one. A slight alteration to the schedule is you can outsource the appointment process to somebody else and kind of follow the same strategy where instead of you call your outsourced appointments does the calling, You go door knock those leads that don't answer her phone calls between those pre-booked appointments. It's kind of the best of both worlds. You stay out there active prospecting for business. Last but not least, I think the most important thing to cover here. Whoa, shit. Okay, I'm okay. The most important thing to cover here is the foundations to all of this. And again, I mentioned it earlier. It's seeing the people. All right, you like from sunrise to sunset. The only thing that matters in your universe as a professional in the life insurance or insurance business is seeing prospects. Everything else takes a back seat. Anything that relates to closing deals is where you should have your perception. And I want you to think about your goals in a day-to-day fashion, okay? Don't be overwhelmed if you're not hitting your production goals. Don't let even money be the motivator here. Let your activity, what you're doing in the field, make sure that you hit your activity metrics on a daily basis. One of the things I have a sense I'm going to be harping on, nagging even about, is the concept of the magic 15. Okay, so what does that mean? I have read books from top producers. I've interacted with agency owners who kind of share the same opinion, all of which is entirely anecdotal, not validated by science or double-blind studied backwards. This is all just kind of a gut feel. And it's this: 15 completed appointments a week tends to be the turning point for a lot of agents in this business. And what I am passionate about doing is, above all else, making it your life's mission to do 15 appointments a week. Better yet, take your number of days in the field, divide it, or take 15 and divide it by the number of days in your field, and there you've got exactly how many appointments you need to do a day. You got 5 days in the field, you got 15 appointments to hit, that's 3 a day. 3 a day. 1 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, or vice versa. Doesn't really matter, okay? Make that your life's mission. Do not quit until you hit your daily activity presentation goal. Notice I didn't say write 1 policy a day or possibly 2. I know, because I've survived this business long enough to realize this, if you provide the inputs, if you provide the process, right, guys, of actually getting involved in the business, hitting your production or hitting your activity numbers, the production follows, okay? This is something we can control. We can control the activity. We can control the approaches. We're going to develop our own numbers to know how much activity we have to do to hit our presentation numbers. And what you will find is, at the point you start hitting 15 consistently, production begins to come in a little bit more consistently, okay? Truth is, as you guys with experience know, you can do everything right in this business and not make a dime. And then the next week, you can do everything right and everybody buys. It's nuts. I had a point, my biggest dry run was 15 completed presentations without any sales. I questioned my mojo if I was going to make it. And on the 16th sale, I think I walked out of the house with $4,000 in premium, ended up completing the week with $8,000 in premium. But if you had talked to me at that conclusion of the 15th appointment, there would have been a sense of complete agony and disgust and just absolute, depravity. It was a horrible feeling. But I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was putting the activity in. And so it happened throughout the week. Kind of things turned out to be all right. So just keep that in mind. If you're full-time, 15 should be your goal. You got to buy enough leads to make it happen. Of course, you got to work up to it. I understand. If you're part-time, definitely fine too. So I'm not like totally zealous and uncompromising. But it should be something that you should strive for before you really get too concerned about other things, including sales training. Doesn't mean you shouldn't spend any time knowing a process. Knowing a process, a sales process, is important. Take my material, learn it very well. However, once you got something that's good enough, to me, the rest doesn't matter until you hit 15 appointments a week. Every time I have an agent who complains about not producing enough, guess what? I ask them, how many appointments did you do last week? It's usually like a third or a half. And I'm like, well, that's it, the end. Do more appointments, then come talk to me. Well, what about this objection I heard? Or, What about this or that? Should I change up this new company? Should I write with? No, you should run more appointments. Just do the work. So it comes down to that. It's not rocket science, but it's pretty important. So those are your kind of schedules you can run. I got up at 6 in the morning. I travel an hour and a half, prep my leads the night before, printed them off, ready to roll. I fax all my apps at the end of the week. I don't fax them daily. I don't want to do anything about work when I come home. I just want to run away, spend time with my wife at least, and my kids. So I kind of clump all that stuff on a weekend day in the morning before stuff starts happening. Okay, so enough about me. Let's talk about you. Let's see what's going on. Hey, Matt Murray, what's up, man? Yeah, you can definitely Kev MC. You can type questions here. I'll be happy to answer them. Hey, Janelle, what's up? Scott, how you doing? Darren Church has the first question of the day, so I'll answer it. And his question is, what time is best to door knock? Sunrise or sunset would be the simple question. I kind of provided some context, right, with whom you door knock when. I think you're fine to start at 9. I really never started till 10 or 10:30. I just never had good luck at 9. But I used to have a guy that worked with me. He used to sell siding for trailers or something like that, and he would start at 8 in the morning, and then he would go till like 10 o'clock. No joke, 10 o'clock at night, door knocking little grannies and old people, and they'd let him in. I was like, really? But he got in. So again, but for me, I used to stop when I was full-time in the field. I would stop at sundown. So if it was makes it harder this time of year, right? We're about to have our time switch back, unless we did already. I forgot if we did. But right now, sun's going down. I'd say by 7, I'd be over. I'd be set up. But ways you kind of get around that is try to book appointments for 7 or 8 o'clock at night. You're going to invariably door knock people who can't see you. Just suggest those times. They'll probably be around. That's a way you stay a little bit more busy. Oh, yeah, by the way, I do have people on my audio conference call. Thanks for joining me, guys. If you guys have questions on the audio conference call, you can press 5-star and ask me a question live on the air. It's totally fine. If you want to just sit quiet, I won't bother you. Just letting you know there. Andrew, what's up, Andrew? Just to be clear, I like these conference calls enough that I pause binge watching The Walking Dead. Man, I am honored that you put that on hold. Thank you. Andrew says, I find door knocking is best after 4 if the lead is under 65 years of age. Many are still working. Yeah, so let me build on that. I think that's a good point. I trained with an agent out of Equita when I first started, Equita Final Expense Services. His name was Andrew Fike. He's still around. He's still selling final expense, doing some Medicare and stuff. I remember listening to a conference call, and he said prime time for this business, final expense at least, is 2 or 3 o'clock and later. And what he would predominantly do is door knock. And he felt his best efforts came at that point. And I would tend to agree. I think, again, I don't want you to think too deeply about door knocking. Like, just do it is really the best answer. But if you put a gun to my head, then what I would say is, probably the best overall time is around when people start getting back from work. Because obviously our clients, a lot of them don't work, but they go to the doctors and they're there all day, and you usually get them at home in the evenings. So that's always the best time to go prospect for any kind of business in most insurance. So, and you'll see some various variations of that. Certainly that's always the case with mortgage protection. Everybody there, 90% work. And then on the Medicare side, not so much. They're usually all home because usually if you're on Medicare, you're not working. All right. Kazuski family, hey, what's up? What's your take on Walmart leads? Good question. So my take on Walmart leads are this. Walmart leads can be good, but they can be bad. Let me explain. Part of a good lead is what the intent is by the respondent, okay? I want my intent to not be about getting something for free to the point where they're getting a gift card. It's clearly, you send this back for a free gift card to Walmart. However, where I will compromise on that is that if the card is so specific enough that the card actually says life insurance, several times preferably, then I'm game for doing it. I used to work a Walmart gift card lead that said life insurance on it 3 times. It had no mention of state regulated. It even had in italics at the bottom that this is not a government solicitation. That was probably one of the better cards I've ever worked with. Why don't I recommend that now? Because the problem with it is the response rate's so bad. People realize that nobody ever gives them their Walmart gift cards. They say they do. And then they start seeing the same lead over and over again. They're like, I'm not sending this crap in. I don't ever get a car back. So my theory, and this was several years ago when I stopped, I got a 1% response rate on a bribe card, which is nuts. I paid like $48 a lead. I should be closer to $30, $25 to $30 a lead with the bribe card. And I was like, it's just too much of a risk. You can't control response rates. That's why I'm a big advocate for at least final expense agents to be on a fixed price lead. Now, there are some states where response rates are better, but the biggest driver of your cost that you have to overcome is your leads. So why not control for that, at least as you get started? And then once you kind of get an idea of the area, figure out response rates are, and then, or even when you just have money to take a chance and see what they are, wait till you get to that point. Otherwise, at least know what you're going into and you have an idea of what it's going to run as far as what the price is going to be. So I don't know if that quite answers your question. Do I recommend it now? Not really. I think, what's more important to me is getting a lead that says life insurance on it. Not everybody agrees with me on that. There's great agents that believe a non-specific card doesn't need to say life insurance or doesn't need to have life insurance mentioned on it at all. It works well for a lot of agents. I just prefer to have life insurance. I've tried both. Yeah, you make sales with any of them, but I like the way you work a life insurance lead than a non-life insurance lead. It's a little bit more direct. Ken asks, I have a database with 19,000 records, thinking about outsourcing pre-screening. Your thoughts? So, okay, a database with 19,000 records. How did you procure the information? Is it opt-in? What are the records for? And what's the background? Give me some details, and I'll kind of give you better opinions. Kazuki family follows up and says, can lead companies only send out leads to specific counties, or can they send them to specific zip codes? They can do both. Most can target to zip codes. So you can custom design which zip codes or which counties in the order that you want. Usually is totally fine. All right. You're welcome, Janelle. Hey, Tax Pro. Well, 600 weekly lead spend, is it possible for a totally green agent to break even with commissions by the end of the 12th week? You should really be breaking even in the first month. I tell agents this all the time. So if I have somebody who wants to work in my organization or just wants to get into, and we're talking final expense here, but they're doubtful, as everybody is when they try anything new. They get scared. It's normal. You should be. You should follow through anyway, of course. What if it doesn't work? What if I lose money? Well, not a guarantee. My observation has been, if I get somebody who literally gives us everything they can, they go out, they see the people, they follow the work schedule I just gave earlier, they give an honest college try for a month, working 15, 20 leads a week minimum. And if they're not breaking even, this business is not for you. Probably isn't for you. And you should look at another product or sell something else. That's fine. But the great thing is, it's not like a restaurant where you sink 50 grand into it, right? Where there's tons of competition. There's no guarantees in the most vicious competitive business that there is. This is a small investment with should be an immediate ROI. You should see a return on your time and money within that first month. So if you don't, and you get anything worse than breaking even, probably not for you. I want to see you profitable out the gate. This is one of those businesses where you can be. I certainly was when I first started. I started part-time with 10 or 15 direct mail leads a week. I went out there and started seeing the people, and I didn't do great, but I made my money back. And I did it each month thereafter until I stupidly fell out of the business in month 12 or something like that. So, again, that's what you should be seeing. that you should be seeing results immediately. Matt says, notice you being extremely quiet on other forms of social media. Is everything okay? Great video. Yeah, I'm done with Facebook. I'm not on Facebook anymore. I hate Facebook. No personal reason why. It's just, I'm kind of like, it's a big distraction for me. I used to joke around. I used to have a flip phone, and I got a smartphone like a year or two ago. Just, I can't stand the constant interactions and notifications. And truly, for my business, it really didn't do much in the way of growing. It does for a lot, though. It probably does for you, Matt. But for me, it was more work than it was really intended to be. And I just don't like Facebook. Let's face it. So at the end of the day, it's not something that I need to do. YouTube's been good to me. It seems to be where my strength is. So I'm trying to double down on what works. Okay. Hey, Catherine, what's up? Shafir. Hey, Shafir, what's up? Would you suggest door knocking the neighbors of the prospects that didn't show up? You can. They call that doing the T, I think, is the reference for it. So you basically door knock. You can do it if they do or don't answer. You just say, hey, my name is Shafir. I'm just giving you my card just to introduce myself. No big deal. I was just seeing your neighbor, Sally, across the street. She had sent this card back in about life insurance. And there's a lot of people that know they need life insurance but never actually get around to it. So I just wanted to give you my card, see if you had any interest in talking about what this is about. Something real low-key like that works very well, and you'll catch people. It does work. My goal for my agents is for them not to do that simply because they're so busy with paid sources of leads. They're buying direct mail or Facebook leads or what have you, and they're constantly busy in the field. So they don't have to do that kind of stuff. But it does work. Oh boy, here we go. Here come the questions. All right. Guns and Glory. Hey, Guns and Glory. What about door knocking leads versus calling and setting up appointments? So you're probably, as a newer agent, unless you've got a lot of phoning experience, you've set appointments before, worked the phone, outbound, not inbound. Inbound's totally different. Okay, it's not the same as outbound calls. If you've done outbound calling, especially appointment setting, or then you can, if you haven't done that, you're probably going to have better results starting by door knocking your leads. There's something about showing up face to face with your prospects, shaking their hand, making eye contact, body language, positive thing, to just give you that many more edges to getting in the door. To me, that's in many cases the best way to handle it, especially if you're not comfortable on the phone. The only reason you really need to use the phone is when you start really doing, I think, more than 30 leads a week. It's hard to door knock that many. I think at that point it's smart to start getting good at it. And that's the thing about calling on the phone, is that there's a tendency to have a learning curve there. Again, the process of doing so is totally different, setting appointments over the phone than it is face-to-face. And, there's just that kind of nervousness that comes with it for a lot of people, and just getting comfortable with the process. So if you're kind of like that, it's probably better just to door knock. No, nothing wrong with that. You'll be just as effective, if not more effective. You'll probably see more people. Because a lot of people just jump to conclusions and hang the phone up on you. And if you don't really realize, a lot of people didn't even hear what you said. They're in the middle of watching Jerry Springer, right? And they're distracted 5 seconds later and don't remember the call. Okay, Tax Pro says, do aged or unsold direct mail leads give palpable ROI? Thanks for everything, El Jefe. So palpable, what's palpable? Palpable is money that I got in my bank after expenses. A good palpable, a good, better palpable number. I mean, yeah, sure. Anything does. It just depends on the price. It depends on the style of lead that you're working. And I would say it's viable if you cannot get into a fresh direct mail lead program. So I like leads that are a year old approximately or less. Going out 2-3+ years, I'm sure there's opportunities there. But they tend to be harder to reach because their phone number is disconnected or they moved. There's a little bit more of that. Or they're dead. That happens too. So if I had a choice, it would be something like that. Matt says, would you suggest outsourcing to an American appointment setter going a cheaper route? Absolutely. Stay onshore. Buy American only. To me, the best way to outsource, well, I should say the easiest way, the most highest ROI for your outsource investment, that's how you have to kind of think about it, is hiring an American-based appointment setter. You can cheap it and hire, say, someone in the Philippines, and there are good callers there that speak a good, intelligible English, but you probably gonna have to be very careful screening them. There is gonna be what's the word I'm looking for? An accent nuance, and that will confuse some of your prospects. So it's like stepping over the dollar to pick up the penny mentality, in my opinion. I never hired anybody offshore for appointment setting. Arguably, you could do it for cold calling, but for appointment setting, I wanted somebody who was skilled, American-based, somebody who was easily understood. So I think that's the safer play. And the savings, I mean, look, if you're running 15, 20 appointments preset a week, outsourcing it, all it takes is one sale to cover your cost, So like one sale to free up all your time you would have been door knocking late or calling to run more appointments on top of that. It's a good investment. Okay, Levon. Hey, Levon. Are there leads companies for IULs? Great question. So probably the most common way to sell IULs is on a cross sell. I've talked to a group that cross sells IULs to their final expense leads. They sell kind of like children's or grandchild's type of policies for like college savings plans. And then they get referrals to their kids to kind of do the same thing and do what's called supplemental life insurance retirement plans. I can't say I've never seen. There's been some courses years ago that would do IULs and do lead attraction. I don't know anything about them, but I don't know any kind of formal plan in order to do IULs from a purchase lead standpoint. Kazuski family says, who pays for and who sends the gift cards for Walmart's? You do. Yes, that's your expense. Your responsibility is to get those cards out. So it does add an additional cost to you. So it's another thing, maybe as a downside. Excuse me. Tax Pro. Any offshore telemarketing resources that you highly recommend? No. No. My recommendation to you, so there's kind of a couple of ways we can slice this up. If you want to do lead generation, please, for the love of God, stay away from telemarketing. That's kind of like a rule of thumb at this point. I don't think this is for final expense more than anything. I just don't like telemarketing leads. They're just too problematic. That whole business model is slowly withering away, and there's compliance issues, even the things that are out of your control. And plus, you got Facebook leads that you can purchase for at the same or less cost and be even more geographically dense with the same level of quality. And they're opt-in, so it protects you too. I just don't understand the reason to have telemarketing at this point. It's just all but obsolete. Does that mean you can't make sales? Of course not. You can. There are people doing it every day. They still buy telemarketing leads, so it's still viable. I just don't like them. I don't think they're a good long-term strategy. As far as if you wanted to hire somebody appointment set for you or some other kind of cold calling, Upwork.com, go there and then put a job ad up and go ahead and tell them what you're looking for. And you can find good people over there. Sometimes you have to screen them a little bit, but you'll find if you work hard enough, you keep the good ones, get rid of the rest. I've done that several times, and I've had really good callers from hiring from there. Anybody that's looking for appointment setter, I mean, there's resources out there. If you do a Google search for a final expense appointment setter, you'll see some options. But really, the best thing to do is to spend a little bit extra time going on Upwork, hiring your own. You'll have someone all to yourself. You get to train them how you want them to, and they tend to not be as burned out. Because they don't have that perspective of, I've been dialing final expense appointments for years. Okay. Hey, Carl, what's up? Carl says, what do you think about partnering with CPAs to get business through referrals or life insurance and for annuities? I think it's a great idea. How do you go about doing it? I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not a technical, advanced type of agent. I would imagine probably a good play would be to, help those business owners and highly paid professionals how to, reduce their tax burden through life insurance or something. You got to have some kind of benefit to the CPA. But that's obviously somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about giving you an opinion. So take it for what it's worth. But yes, there is stuff. I've used to see Facebook ads for programs that would teach agents how to get with CPAs and stuff like that. So I know there's stuff out there that trains you on it, but there's no formal, I don't have any formal training that I could help you with. Hey, Gary, thank you. All the way from Canada. I missed you. I was up in Kincardine on Lake Huron this summer. It was beautiful. 80 degrees tops, 50s at night. It was great. Man, the water is high up there. I tell you what, in Lake Huron, man. They've lost like 15, 20 feet of beachfront. It's like that on Michigan side, too. Ken says, former clients of business partners who graduated financial services course. This is for Iowa. Oh. Okay. Gotcha. Let's see here. Let me see here, Ken. I think I asked a question and I forgot. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Now I know what you said. You're the list guy. You say former clients of business partners who graduated financial services course. I don't understand that. This is for IUL prospects. Yeah, I mean, I would just, if it's your list and you own it, and these are clients of yours, go for it. What would you do? I don't know, think of a problem that a lot of them share, retirement, concerns, that kind of thing. Just a generic appointment setting process. Don't sell the product over the phone. Watch some of my videos on how to set the script like that. Think of a common problem these people have, and then, or it could just be as simple as, hey, I'm a life insurance agent. I work with so-and-so, and I'd like to show you the kind of work I do to help people plan for the retirement. Can I come over at 10 or would 2 be better? Something like that. And just start dialing. I would just run appointments and allow the presentation to explain it. Hey, Tina, thank you. You don't like Facebook either. Same here. Janelle says, thanks for asking because I noticed I hadn't seen you on Facebook. Glad to see. No, I'm not the only one who hates Facebook. Yeah. Everybody's on my side here. Okay. Facebook is a distraction. I completely agree with that. How do I argue politics with people if I don't do Facebook? See, here's the reality, Andrew. We can have a normal, like, adult discussion, face-to-face or over the phone. And then we can end the call as friends, as opposed to calling each other extremists or whatever. So, like what people used to do. So I know. Life just won't be the same. Or just turn on the TV and go watch cable news. You'll get your fill. Tax Pro. Anybody here has success with secure agent Facebook leads? They do a ton. They're probably the big player in the Facebook lead arena. Just like any lead, I've heard people who have done very well with them. I've heard people who don't like them. You're going to find that with every kind of lead source. Great things to say to neighbors, but glad I don't have to do it. Let's see here. Bill, do you have a Facebook final expense ad template for those of us that want to create our own Facebook ad? So I would recommend looking up Ad Assassins. I think that's what it is in YouTube, or going to Final Expense Leaders. Both of those people have courses to teach you how to do Facebook marketing, but more importantly, they have copy and images of previously successful campaigns. So you have templates to work with. You don't have to think this stuff up. And I think that on its own is probably well worth the investment to have access to that. So to answer your question, yeah, that's where you'd want to go, and just kind of steal what they do. Yeah, definitely. Door knocking is the better route to go. It's a lot of things too. A lot of our population base, especially the 60 to 80-year-olds, they grew up watching their moms and grandmoms having the insurance man come by even weekly, sometimes monthly, to collect cash money for the premium. So there is, in a sense, this kind of understanding that the way insurance is sold is when someone shows up. And that's more in the low-income communities, that mindset is not just, we think who door knocks or sells anything door to door. Well, that's kind of like what was normal back then, at least for insurance. So I think you're kind of playing to that nostalgia, maybe a stretch, but that kind of conception. Kazuski family says, is there any way to know if certain areas are inundated with too many insurance agents or leads? Yes, look out your front window and look around. They're everywhere. They're coming for you. I would say Montana, Wyoming is good. Definitely northern Alaska. No competition up there. But in all seriousness, agent saturation has always been a thing. I love working Georgia. I know one guy that's writing, I wish he was my agent, almost recruited him. He's writing 60 to 80,000 a month in Georgia and Alabama. I have another agent friend in the business who he's at $250,000 a year. He's got agents who work in Georgia who are writing, 150, 200 grand a year. Georgia has the highest per capita of insurance agents to the population, meaning there's more density of agents in Georgia than there are in any other state. But the opportunity to sell is still wonderful. Why is that the case? Because most agents don't do anything. They get their license and they don't go commit to anything. So don't be disturbed by any sort of saturation. They're everywhere. Now, the lead question is a little bit more concerning. Generally speaking, the Southeast is saturated with direct, and this is direct mail, with direct mail. Texas, California in certain parts, less saturated areas, parts of the Midwest, Michigan, Ohio, maybe the Northeast to a lesser extent. There's not a lot of guys up Northeast who sell final expense, not as a proportion. Florida is horrible, by the way, for leads. But with all that said, there's still programs to make it viable there in any of those states that are tougher, even if you've had issues. Chiefly fixed price lead programs, which are basically socializing the cost so that everybody pays the same price for their leads and they can still acquire leads at a decent cost. So those two things shouldn't keep you out. If the business got so bad that it was uneconomical to do it, then I would be the one that say, hey, look, leads are $45 a lead. We got to go to Facebook leads, or we got to do some other style of leads or something different. But it's not reached that point yet. All right. David, how do you handle either my family member sells final expense or is a financial objection? It depends. So I would say, great. No, so is this an appointment setting objection? I guess I would say something like, hey, that's fine. A lot of people have family members that sell insurance just like you. And the reason they meet with me anyway is because, let's face it, who wants to do business with family? What if your family sells you a bad plan and it comes back to haunt you? If you're like my dad always said, he was a very successful business owner. He said, never do business with friends or family. True story. So let's just meet. Let me at least give you my opinion. You don't have to buy. At least to get an idea, though, of what your options are. How's Tuesday at 2 would 10 be better? I'd say something like that. And if I was in a home, I would say something kind of expanded out in that direction, too. Like, the last thing you want to do is do business with friends and family, Mr. Jones. What do you mean by that? Well, here's kind of a story. My dad ran a business. His adopted daughter stole money from the business. His son was a lazy drug addict. He fired his wife not once but twice. And the only reason he never fired me is I never worked for him. So there was so much drama that caused from this business that it caused more stress, more issues, more problems for the family. I don't know your brother. I don't know what he would do, but here's my point. At the end of the day, I'm here today to help you with this. Your brother isn't. If he was somebody who cared, and you kind of, kind of off script here, kind of push as hard as you think you can. Not to be rude, but your brother should have been here to help you already, okay? And if you sit around and wait on your brother, who's to say he's going to show up if he's a financial planner or life insurance agent? So let me help you. Let me get you a policy in place. Let's do this today. Why not? So something like that. Again, don't be afraid to take a stand on stuff, especially when you show them that you care about their welfare. It's the difference between applying pressure on a close, building internal tension. What I just did was internal tension. It's a little pushy, I agree, I admit, but it comes from the heart, And I'm not trying to manipulate or persuade them. I'm just trying to appeal to their better instincts, their better selves. Roger says there's a girl in our agency that cold calls for leads, and she has a thick Hispanic accent. She's just been in the insurance business for 4 months and writes between 35 to 49 every month. Good, yeah, man. Look, let's see. Ben Feldman had a lisp. Y'all should pull up some Ben Feldman training I uploaded a year ago. He sounds like this, and he talks really strange. That's a little bit of an elaboration. But he doesn't talk normal. He doesn't have a radio voice, and he kind of hunches, So who else? There's an old movie. You old timers probably remember it. I forget the actor in it, but this kid had cerebral palsy, and his mom always told him, you can do anything in life. Don't let anybody talk trash about you. So he started selling some product that was crap. I forget what it was. Door to Door is the movie, if y'all want to look that up and tell me what it is. And the guy, he talks like he's got cerebral palsy. He talks like he got a problem. And basically the movie's about him getting doors slammed in his face and never giving up. And then he wins the top producer for the region or for the company or whatever. Like the inadequacies you think you have, the adversities are actually your strengths. We all have something about us that is not normal, or at least we think so. But we are our own worst enemy. People don't really care that much. It's all on how you deliver yourself, regardless of that. And there's countless experiences people have infirmities, permanent problems, and they overcome adversity anyway. And what this has taught me is, Dave, there is no bullshit excuse for you not to be completely committed, because if these people can pull this off in the state that they're in and their experience, not trying to be mean at all, but for the disadvantages they seemingly have, why don't myself or any of my agents or anybody accomplish what they have? There's so many people that have circumstances way worse than you. That's not an excuse. It should be inspiration. Okay. All right. Keep these questions coming. Oh, look at this. I have a question. I totally forgot about my live audio calls. I'm going to pull this off here. So let me put on my headphones. And I'm going to take a call from the audio conference call. The last 4 digits of the number is 9177. You are live on the air. Can you hear me? Hey, what's up? Hey, Gina, how you doing? Okay. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So essentially what we do, I'm going to put you back on mute just to cut the background noise off there. It's a little echoey. Essentially what we do is we target people who are 65 and older, Medicare age, and you go in and talk about free information of benefits that are available to them, but then you fact find your way into a presentation about annuity. There's a process that we teach you to get there. We've got a program to set up to get you in front of these prospects. And even if you don't know anything about annuities, we'll teach you how to do it all as you find prospects. I believe this is one of the biggest untapped markets. We don't target people who are plate lickers and go to dinner seminars that have $500,000 in a financial advisor. We're talking to blue-collar professionals that, worked a regular job, happen to save a little bit of money up. They're not eating out of, cat food box. They're doing okay, but they don't get the kind of service and attention they need with their financial planning. So we come in and kind of do a fact finder to see what they have and show them a better opportunity. Typically what we sell are fixed index annuities. And it's just a rinse and repeat type of process. It's not a volume business. Annuity sales isn't. It's multi-step sales call. You know, you'll sell a couple a month is really good, you know, because the size of the deals, even though they're lower than what you would see in a seminar type of process, it's still pretty good. And the best way to learn more about that is to go to my website. If you go to davidduford.com, click Join Dave's Agency, you'll see a link at the top. Click that, and then you'll see where the annuity training is. Just watch all that. I lay everything out there in extreme detail, and it will definitely answer a lot of your questions. You still there?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else I can do for you?
No, I was just interested in the appointment setting process as well, but I'll
Okay.
go to your website. Thank you.
Yeah, check it out. Thank you. All right. Remember, 5-star for you guys on the conference call. Get to speak with me live. Live, I tell you, live. All right. Back to the chat. More and more questions. Good. Okay. Florida is horrible for leads. I agree. Well, I mean, yeah, but not really. You know, it's like if you do per thousand, sure, you're going to get creamed because the response rates are less than 1%. But if you do fixed price leads, it's not so bad. But yeah, there's certain parts of Florida I like to work. I like agents working Central Florida. That tends to be better. The Southeast is tougher for sure. Guys that can make it in the Southeast are good. I've heard the West Coast of Florida is good. Panhandle's good. Basically, the Panhandle of Florida is just lower Georgia and lower Alabama. But that's good for business. Okay, getting dark over here. Okay, Kev. I don't know why that had that. Okay, what is the ideal range for a final expense client? Best sex, male or female. I think it's better to sell women than it is men. I think women have more of an instinct to have peace of mind and protect themselves. Men don't. That doesn't mean they're not good leads or clients. But if I had a perfect ideal world, I would target women 60 or 62 and older, single or married. Just make sure if you target the married ones, make sure they're both there, no one-leggers. And make sure you sell the lady of the house just as hard as you would sell the male, because they're probably the ones who control the checkbook and really make the decisions. The male just goes, whatever she wants. Yes, thank you, Tina. William Macy, that's right. Thank you, Gary. Tax Pro, thanks for being so generous with your time and intellectual property, El Jefe. I appreciate you, mate. Thank you, sir. Trying to chat. Hey, Jeanette. I can see you're chatting. Door to Door is a 2002 television film about Bill Porter. That's the guy. Yeah. Bill Porter, an inspiring, successful door-to-door salesman of cerebral palsy. Yep, that's right. I can't hear the phone questions. I don't understand. Okay. Why would anyone say something horrible like, they can take me out to the curb with the trash and they can and they can put a stick up my butt and have the dog out me in the ground? Oh no, you can only hear Dave, not the caller. Crap. Okay, sorry guys. And how would you respond? Well, so here's the thing, guys. You know, we have a saying down here in Tennessee, you can't fix stupid. All right? If I have somebody who has no intrinsic value in themselves, you know, what are you going to do? I can bring the horse to water and can't make him drink. You know, so that's how some people are. They just don't care. Now, I will tell you, a lot of the times that's just a joke, okay? On the other hand, sometimes it's serious. And people who buy life insurance love someone. That's the essence of what life insurance is. It is love, okay? Embodied in, a written contract, If one does not have love for oneself or others, they tend to sound like this and in essence aren't prospects. Now, if you hear that, just don't leave. Appeal to their better nature. Go through the presentation. Certainly try. You may be catching somebody who's just having an off day. But you can't fix stupid. What can I say? Find a real prospect. Thank goodness that most people are not in this vein. They are not this bad or negative. Okay. Hey, Andy, what's going on? I'm in Georgia and look to start building my own leads. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Looking to start building my own leads. Cool. So ideas for leads, put in Facebook, final expense, marketing into Google. Email me, go to davidduford.com/start. I'll give you some, vendors that I like. And this is for anybody. And as well as direct mail too. Make sure, especially if you do direct mail, you get fixed pricing in Georgia. So important. Tax Pro says, polo shirt and chinos, good enough for door knocking. Yeah. I used to joke. Yeah, sure. It's davidduford.com /contact. I'm sorry. And go there, send your message in, and I'll get it, and I'll reply back. Polo shirts and chinos, sure, man. It took me like 3 years before I got out of khakis into jeans, and then like 1 year to where I got out of jeans into shorts. And I can't help here for a minute now, since we're bringing this up. Why am I wearing shorts? Yeah, I'd wear shorts and sell insurance. Why? Well, have y'all seen how hot it is outside? Like, I'm sitting here. It's October freaking 1st. It's the 1st of October. It's like 98 degrees out here in Tennessee. What the hell? So wearing shorts is why I do this when it's like this weather. Because it's hot, man. All right? Getting in and out of that car. Shoot, man. I knew a guy, Matt. He used to, I don't know if he was serious, but he used to say, yeah, I wear, basketball shorts and a Spurs jersey in San Antonio. Guy wrote $500,000 in a year, a couple of years ago. So I tend to believe him. Dress is important. Don't have your shirt uncouth. Don't look like a screwball. I hate to say it. Hopefully you got common sense. I follow common sense. But just business casual is fine. It's not going to be overboard. Kev, that's a great question. Are my 2 books good value? Are you talking about these behind me right here? Interviews with top producing insurance agents and the official guide to selling final expense insurance. Those ones? Those 4.5 and 5-star rated books on Amazon, are they good value? Of course they are. Some of the best. Especially if you like to, if you're interested in final expense, it's a good overview of what I teach. I'm actually updating the book. I should have a new 2nd edition out by maybe 1st of next year. And I don't know. I have a new book coming out. It's like it's a test, the 1st edition or the 1st chapter. Jesus, can't say anything right. The concept I have in my mind of the title is a New Agent's Guide to Selling Insurance or something. So it's going to be kind of like a primer if you're brand new licensed. You don't know what to do. You have questions, concerns. This is going to be the go-to book if you're brand new. It's not going to be someone it's for experience, although experienced agents will say, yeah, I wish I knew all this stuff. That book I'm working on right now. I'm about halfway done editing it. Should be a couple hundred pages. It should be really good for the new agent. That's going to come out. I'm going to try to do a December release date to coincide with the holidays. And you guys can buy a lot of copies and hand them out to everybody you know. So be on the lookout for that. But these books are great too. The interviews book is excellent. I'm glad I did that one just because through this book, this blue book, I can convey what makes a top producer. And you can read into the successes of many people in different lines. I think it's very powerful stuff. Thanks for the layup and setup. Do I know anything about the Oklahoma market? It's fine. There's opportunity everywhere. There's no real difference between the people who see in Oklahoma and Tennessee and California. Yeah, it's the same people. Final expense, people are everywhere, if that's what you're selling. Chris, or Cindy, I'm sorry. Hey, Cindy, will just selling annuities actually create a livable income? Yeah, sure. If you can sell 2 or 3 a month, it can create a great income beyond livable. For example, a street level contract for an experienced agent, they write $100,000 with the fixed index annuity we like. They pay $6,500. If your marketing costs are $15,000 to $2,000 a month, and you write 2 of those, you're making 10 grand. Not bad. 11 grand actually. Okay. Andrew, the books are worth it and getting and reading. Thank you. You need to be digesting stuff like this continuously. If you don't have a sales book to read list, develop one. Yes. Michael, hey, what's up, Michael? If an agent got offered equity in a young FMO versus becoming an agency builder with you, what factors would you consider before choosing what route to take? Do you believe in the vision of the FMO? What is the experience level of the FMO? Do you have options to buy more shares as time goes on? Stuff like that. You got to really judge the people that you're buying into. Do you believe them? Do you trust them? I think that's such a big component to this. Who's the people behind it? What's their strategy? What's their play over the next 5 to 10 years? You guys probably know Patrick Bet-David. I was watching part of his interview on, what's the guy's name? Jordan Belfort. And he was with Transamerica. And this is only like a minute of what I caught. he was with Transamerica, and he left Transamerica. He had $600,000, and that's what he did to build his agency, PHP. Whatever you think about him is fine. I think he did that back in 2006 or 7, maybe 9. And now those guys write a ton of business. They're incredibly successful, and they're just growing. And again, even though the commissions aren't great, that still doesn't make a difference. They do very well. So, but that's the power of having somebody with vision and direction and focus. So I don't know if that's a good answer, but that's something I would suggest being a very thing you need to consider. Versus, yeah, you build your own agency, you're in total control, but understand you're totally responsible for everything. That's always kind of the thing. Do you bring in a partner, or do you do an equity share with somebody who can fill in your gaps? And sometimes that's a good idea. My experience in business, just seeing my dad run businesses and interacting with other business owners, like partnerships, I hate partnerships. You guys that work with your wives, my hats are off to you, or your spouses. My God. As I like to say, I like to separate business and pleasure. So I'll say that's all I'll say about that. But in all seriousness, most partnerships break up, and they end not just the business relationships, but also the friendships or the personal familial relationships. So I really hesitate to join partnerships because of that, or to join hands or forces with someone, because it ruins otherwise good relationships. Whereas if you buckle down and do it yourself, hire the right people when you need it, and just have more of a marathon mentality versus a sprint mentality, I think it's a better play. Just my opinion. Okay. Michael says it's not about you, it's about those you leave behind. Yes. That is how you respond to take me to the trash guy. Yeah. I was a cemetery and funeral home business. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, hey, that's fine. But it's not about you. It's about the people you leave behind. It's absolutely right. Sure thing. Thoughts on cemetery versus family first life? It's going to depend on the organization that the whatever downline that you're looking at. Both have producers that do a lot of business. Both have been around for a while. But really, this isn't anything specific to them. The truth is that a lot of your success depends on you, but a lot of your experience is directly related to who's responsible right above you in the office you're affiliated with. So I would be wanting to see kind of what they're doing, who's successful, why are they successful, is there evidence of success, what's your personal relationship like with your upline that you've been presented to, and make your judgment based off of that. That would be critical, because a misalignment in the owner or the relationship you have is very detrimental. You got to find somebody that A1, I see your comment there. You got to have some connection. I talk to agents all the time. Like I'm looking for people who like get me, and there's not a lot of there are some people who get me, who are connected to me. But not a lot of people are, I'm sure. There's a mismatch. But that's okay. I don't want to work with somebody who doesn't feel the warm tinglies, I guess, And likewise with anybody else. Any manager who's worth his salt knows that's the truth and works to make it that way in their own agency as well. Kev says, just clarify, I'm in Canada, so they will be relevant to me for this case. Great. Okay. Michael says, the people left behind has to pay the bills and take care of the dead guy. Yep, that's right. Ada, hey Ada, what do you say to folks that want to know right away on the phone how much this is, especially mortgage protection leads, and if they press you to get a quote? Great question. Oh, and by the way, on the conference call, I see your question. I'll get to that next. Yeah, you just say, hey, look. So first of all, what I want you to first conceptually understand is that you do not know what the price is going to be. You know nothing about the client's health. You know nothing about their background. You know absolutely nothing. So it's, in a sense, I would argue to you, it's unethical to give a price. You don't know. You really don't know if you really think about it. And the only way you're going to know is in a presentation where you get to gather the facts and present the options. The key is to make sure the client understands that you're not there to pressure them into a deal, and to convey also the first point that we just don't know, which is why I'm calling, so I can show you what this is. So what it sounds like is, hey, can you give me a price over the phone? Hey, Mr. Jones, no problem. I understand a lot of people want the price over the phone. I totally get that. But the reason they meet with me anyway is because there's no way that we can know. There's so many different prices, so many different programs, and all of this is going to depend on your unique profile of what you have as far as your health goes. Now, here's the thing. I'm not going to come here, pressure you to buy from me, not at all. I'm just here to deliver the information that you requested, and what you do with it, I promise you, is up to you. You like it, great. If not, no hard feelings. So would 10 or 2 be better? So that whole shtick right there encapsulates what you're trying to accomplish, which is diverting the price question to a fundamental fact and reality. And the people who want life insurance, they'll book anyway, okay? Especially since you took time to sell the appointment. And remember, a lot of people want a price over the phone. Why? Psychologically, underneath, they really don't want a salesperson in. So you got to sell them on yourself, which is what you're kind of doing with that script. Okay. So to the live conference call. So for those guys complaining about the audio, it should be a lot better this time. Hold on. I got my audio on. So this is for 3413. You are live on the air. Go ahead and say your name and question, please.
Hey, Dave. It's Tom Halbeck. Simple question.
Hey,
can the final expense be done? It looks like it's nights and weekends a lot. Can it be done during the day, during the week?
Yes, good question, Tom. Absolutely. Final expense is one of those products that you can sell anytime, anywhere, Monday through Sunday, from 8 a.m. in the morning to 10 o'clock at night. You will have more success in the evenings, however. I believe that is the case. And if you can't work evenings, then to work on Saturday. So if at all possible, I would definitely try to work one evening a week if you can. If, say, you've got a full-time job or something during the day, or a weekend, just to hit those people who would otherwise be reachable. Hold on, Tom. Tom, you're back on. Do you have any other questions or follow-up to that?
No, I guess the same thing then would be also regarding the annuities, which I am actually even a little bit more interested in. Can annuities be done the same way?
Absolutely, even more so. You're dealing with people of Medicare age, so they're going to be a little bit more available and around in the morning. It's been our experience. In fact, Steven sells, he runs 4 appointments with his last one at 2, and he starts at 9 in the morning. And so, yeah, he's not working any evenings at all. All right, Tom. Thank you, sir. All right, let's wrap up these questions here. They keep coming. Take my headphones off here. Bulky things. All right. Did you guys hear that this time? I hope so. A1 says Symmetry is more like multi-level marketing, network marketing. Their focus is on recruitment and their commissions are trash. Yeah, look, opinions aside, the truth is that a lot of you, not you guys, you watch my channel. Y'all know kind of what the deal is, right? What you're getting into. But a lot of agents don't understand that insurance is largely driven by big multi-level players, at least from a recruiting standpoint. And the problems become you have to recruit to play the game and up your commission level. There's a lot of people, though, that don't want to recruit. They just want to sell. And that's fine, but in these organizations, they're mismatches. I talk about this a lot. So you got to find producer-oriented agencies. This is my niche, right? So people who don't want to recruit, that are entrepreneurial in kind of their disposition, are good fits for me because I give them all the tools and my support necessary along with a good commission. And there's other organizations that do the same thing. But again, take your time to find an organization. If you're watching this and you just found out about the insurance industry, somebody took you to an opportunity meeting, saw a bunch of people who were successful, making a lot of money, before you sign the dotted line, take time to explore your other options. You don't have to have a big rush into this business. You want to find the right fit. I think it's really important because so many agents, I believe, fail out of this business. Not all of them, but a good percentage of them, because their setup was just inopportune. They had poor trainers that didn't know what they were doing, but they knew how to recruit, and they're kind of left to their own devices. And they leave the business with a bad taste in their mouth. It's a racket. It's Amway, or whatever. All right, 90. It's horrible. All right, guys. Last call for questions as I wrap this show up. I want to thank everybody for popping on. And my last bit of words of wisdom, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I don't really have anything to say. Just keep doing what you're doing. If you're doing something. If you're not doing something and you want to do something, step out there. Jump in. The best way to learn this business is by taking action, not by being academic in your pursuit of understanding it. Now, obviously, there's a place for understanding this business and getting comfortable as well as you can to start with, but you ultimately will learn more inside of a month talking belly to belly with prospects than you will reading a book or even watching a video of mine. So for those of you guys that are wanting to start this business, understand you can do this part-time. You can work around your schedule to make this happen. And I highly encourage you to do this. I'm at the position in my life, not to brag, but just to tell you where 7 years ago I had $90 in my bank account and failed out of the final expense business. Now, I don't personal produce full-time. I only train agents when they come to town to see me. My income is entirely derived passively because of overrides and building my agency. And it's wonderful. I'm with my kids more, my wife as well. Life is good. Stress is low. But I had to put the time, effort, and energy dealing with adversity to get to this point. And I'll never forget that. So all you guys out there struggling, remember that too. Adversity is like Crom, from Conan. Remember Conan the Barbarian? Conan prays to Crom, and Crom is this god that never intervenes. He just sits there and watches and kind of laughs and makes things harder when people pray to him, and it's all one big joke for him. But he loves valor. He loves when, as Conan says, one stands against many. And I think you got to have that kind of mindset in this business, is that your metal's going to be tested. You're going to experience adversities. This is the cleansing process to get rid of your competition, not you. That's the way you should think. And some point you arrive. Sometimes it's months, sometimes it's years for many of us. It certainly was years for me, where things get better, smoother, easier even, but only because you paid your dues. And Crom smiles upon your indefeatable efforts. Okay, guys. Ken, last question real quick. Why do people shy away from selling annuities to people under 40? It's not a marketplace for it, really, I guess. I'm sure there is. You can do pension planning, deferred annuities, that kind of thing. There's markets for it out there. Just what a lot of what we talk about is just a more accessible one, I think, in some ways. So, yeah, A1, definitely. I'm all solo myself, man. That's why I don't have any, as George Washington called it, entangling alliances. Wise words. Okay, guys, that's it for me. If you'd like to learn about joining my insurance agency, go to davidduford.com, click the Join Dave's Agency at the top. We do predominantly final expense, more into annuities every single month. And we're doing a big effort, as you'll see, starting in 2020 with Medicare Advantage, especially to those agents selling final expense that want to cross-sell that and build a renewal stream of income. So learn more about how that works there. And in the meantime, you guys have a good rest of October and a good Halloween, and we'll see you shortly. Y'all take care.